While social media is flooded with recycled outrage and spectacle, some of the most consequential rights decisions this week barely made headlines. So let's reset the focus away from the distraction and toward what actually changes people's lives. I'm Sarah. This is Ethos Trek. Here's what you should know. Courts decide rights by 1,000 procedural cuts. Federal courts continue narrowing access to justice, not always by overturning rights outright, but by raising procedural barriers. This week, multiple rulings reinforce stricter standing and timing requirements in civil rights claims. Translation: even when harm is real, courts are increasingly saying, you waited too long, you filed the wrong way, or you can't prove imminent harm. This trend doesn't erase rights on paper, but it hollows them out in practice, especially for detained immigrants, incarcerated people, students and employees facing retaliation, communities challenging state violence or discrimination. Rights that can't be enforced are rights in name only. Civil rights, federal retreat, state patchwork. On the civil rights front, federal enforcement remains inconsistent, pushing responsibility down to the states, where outcomes depend heavily on geography. We're seeing uneven enforcement of disability and education access protections, continued confusion around gender-based discrimination standards, delayed or narrowed remedies, even when violations are acknowledged. This creates a two-tier system of rights, one version on paper, another depending on your zip code. International, normalizing rights erosion. Internationally, the warning lights are flashing. U.S. courts and policymakers are increasingly out of step with international human rights norms, particularly on detention standards, due process guarantees, collective punishment, and forced displacement. While international law does not override U.S. courts, the pattern matters. When democratic systems normalize shortcuts, other governments follow and cite us as precedent. Why this matters? Authoritarianism rarely arrives all at once. It advances quietly through procedure, delay, fragmentation, and distraction. The most important rights stories this week aren't viral, but they're foundational. Stay focused, stay curious. This is Ethos Trek.